What's going on, tribe? I thought it would be good to do a video. Maybe it'll be a video podcast. Maybe it'll just be a video. But I'm trying to do some more video content. That was one of the suggestions that I got. I've been doing a lot of bug outs recently in Bitterroot Wilderness, Montana, Idaho, that kind of area. And I thought that it would be good to kind of go through some of the modifications on the pack. Now, some of the stuff I have done off camera because it's tedious and you probably know how to, let's say, spray paint something. But let's start with one of the big things. I've recently been carrying the Mora, mostly because a lot of the audience, a lot of you guys said, hey, the Mora is an awesome knife. I'm paraphrasing what I think and perceive that people think. The Mora is like the best knife ever and it's super cheap. I've been using it. I've used it. The pros, it's very lightweight. If I was going to carry on a belt and I wanted like a super lightweight EDC knife, then I think that this Mora would be okay, especially for the money. But here's the rub. This is my bug out bag. This is my hunting bag, my going to Alaska bag, my backcountry bag. This is my big bag. Is this the knife that I want if, zombie chipmunks start peeing in my radiator? Is this, I don't know if you can tell how, is that the knife? You see how thin that is? Is that the knife I want to trust my life to? Is that the one big fixed blade knife that I want? Also, my EDC right now in my pocket, this is a Bushcraft 3.5. This, my general everyday EDC knife, is a better knife in almost every conceivable way. So why, if I have this knife as my EDC, would I have that Mora on my bag? I'm not ragging on Mora. I'm saying for me, it doesn't make sense. So this is the knife that I plan on putting on there. I just hit it with some spray paint because it was black. I can't really stand black, but this is an SOG. It's called their Bushcraft. I don't know if they still make it. I had it. It's a little too big for EDC, but to the point I just made, if I'm going to have a knife on my bag, I want something bigger or better in some way than the Bushcraft that I normally carry as my EDC in my pocket. This is a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger than the Bushcraft. So it achieves that goal. It's an AUS 10 steel. It's not as good a steel as that, but it's a big beefy knife. And it's certainly, compared to the Mora, is a beefier knife. It's thicker, okay, and it's just a little bit more robust. I think it's a better all-around knife. The Mora may be better for some things, but it's a good knife, and it's also not that heavy. It's not a big beefy knife. So I compared it to the Mora. If you want to compare that to, let's say, a knife a lot of people are probably familiar with, the K-Bar, right? It's quite a difference in size than the K-Bar. And the K-Bar is not an overly heavy knife. I mean, I carried one of these during the war. So I think that's a good all-around balance of lightweight and utility. So that's what's going to go on the pack there. The way that I normally do that is it goes on the backpack strap. So we'll put that back in there. See if we can't get that to tuck in. Oh yeah, that'll be just fine. We'll get that in there. Okay. Perfect. It's clipped in when I do the pack right there. Then that'll clip in and that'll be just fine. And it's not gonna come out or anything. So we've got that. The other thing, after years and years, I upgraded my water bottle. This is a titanium water container. So, titanium water container. It's ultra light. It's also a pot. It's got a big lid. The lid is not my favorite. It's a little bigger, I think, than it needs to be. But it's a pot. As you can see, I've used it to, heat stuff up in. It's a good pot. It's super lightweight, which obviously I can't show you in the video, but I mean, it's light. It's a super lightweight container. There's the brand and the model, if you guys care about getting the same one, but it's an ultra lightweight titanium container. The thing that I don't like about it is she's a big girl. She's rather large in circumference. So it makes it quite hard to fit and stay in that pocket. It hasn't fallen out yet, but I have the snagging suspicion that it might work its way out. So one of the modifications I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this is just a Ranger band, just kind of a beefy rubber band that's fairly flammable. And I'm going to put that around here. That's gonna give it a little bit of friction, because obviously that grabs a lot more than just the titanium on here. So it's got a little bit of friction to hopefully stop it from working out. Then I'm gonna take my knife. Oh, that's sharp. And then I'm gonna take some of these. These are just little, literally got them at Walmart, little S-beaners, whatever you wanna call them. Very small, but they should achieve this goal. And what I'm going to do is clip that on here. Now this will go in here. But this also gives me some added insurance in that I can clip that S-beaner on there. That way, it's not just going to fly out and flop off. I haven't had that happen yet, but again, I can definitely see it happening. And if I'm on some pretty steep terrain and it goes tumbling, you know, down the side of a mountain or something like that, then I could definitely foresee that being an issue. But if I do that, right, that's makes me feel a lot better. And I can just unclip it and take it out. So it doesn't add a lot of weight, and plus, except for the little carabiner, which is good to have anyway, that's extra fire starting material if I should need it. So kind of multifunctional there. We have that. Also, let me dig over here because I just threw it out, but I go through these like little kids in a candy store. These are water purification tablets. They come in a rather heavy glass brown bottle, but I bought one of these. These I found in like the medicine aisle of Walmart. It's just a pill container. It came in a bright silver. One of the things is that I spray paint. I just hit it with some spray paint so it's not so shiny. I put another one of these S carabiners on there. Now what I've been doing is keeping it in here. It's on the outside of the pack, but still I use them so much I don't want to have to dig around inside my pack and fish around for them inside there. Little tactical tip: if you weave these things together, it makes that much less likely to come apart when you're hiking. But this thing, I use it all the time. Also, I use it all the time in conjunction with the water bottle. So why would I not just clip that onto there? Ta-da! That's a way better system than what I've been working with. I use those so much I've been just putting them in my pocket, but why not just have them next to the water bottle? If I'm using one, I'm probably using the other. So why not have those right there together? So that's easy modification. None of those mods in themselves cost more than like $5, but a real game changer when it comes to in the backcountry convenience. And the knife, I think, is, well, I guess the knife is a more expensive upgrade, but I was talking these. That knife, not a super expensive knife when I bought it. It was on sale, and it's one of those knives that was a little too big for EDC, but I think it's much better than the Mora for the pack. For like if I have one big fixed blade knife, I don't want that to be the Mora. Some other modifications: triple antibiotic ointment. This stuff is worth its weight in gold. I don't know if you can tell, but got a pretty substantial busted lip from exposure, just from the elements. So I've been going through this stuff, but I figured why not get some extra ones of those. Now I just showed you how to lace these in together, which is going to cost me some time here. However, let us be patient here. And then this is what's been in there. Bacitracin. Might as well take that out and use it because it's a little bit older. Might as well take the triple antibiotic ointment and put it inside there. This is just kind of some real common stuff that I use quickly. I don't want to have to get inside the pack, like a monocular, like soap, like the bacitracin, and one of the like rechargeable lighters for making fire. Stuff like that that I'll use quite frequently. That'll go out there. So I got two of these. These are 88 cents. And if something really bad happened, probably worth their weight in gold. Literally, you'd probably trade everything you needed, everything you had to get this if you needed it. If you have an infection, is 88 cents. why not throw 2 of those in there? One of those is actually part of my EDC right now. It's not normally, but I got a couple of abrasions and stuff like that going on. Just getting a little beat up out in the backcountry, but no worries. So there is that. Another mod that I did that I don't want to take a bunch of time, but I wrapped it around there. A lot of people have patches and stuff on their kit. That's one of my old Army name tags. I wrapped it around there with needle and thread. So just a good handy thing. I can just rip it off, unwind it, and sew stuff up. I actually used it already to sew up. I don't know if you can see that, but I used it to sew up the pack once already. But just a good handy modification to have. Bag, I don't know if you can tell, is wet right now. The wife likes those hydration bladders. I can't stand them. One of them just busted on her bed and my bag. So it's a little bit wet right now, but I'm sure it will be fine, as the stuff in there is in a dry bag. So there's a lesson, dry bag. Also, these are super cheap. These come in ramen noodles or whatever, top ramen, right? This is chicken flavor, goes with a lot of stuff. It's good if you're just really cold and you want a very simple thing like a broth to heat up with. They're also really good if you're low on salt. These are mostly salt. They're like salt with a little bit of flavor. I'm also going to put one of those in here because that's pretty handy to have. Also, one thing that I have in here in conjunction with my food, salt. Salt historically literally has been very valuable. Like the word salary comes from the word salt. Soldiers used to be paid in salt. That's how valuable it is. So salt. I keep a little bit of that pink Himalayan sea salt in there. That would go a long way if you were rationing it, because salt can be hard to find in a lot of places, especially a lot of places that I like to be. The other thing I'm going to throw in there, I mentioned in one of the reviews, I forgot one of these. Normally one of these is part of my EDC, but I'm going to throw an extra one in here. It's just a mosquito wipe in addition to like mosquito spray. Just if I want something quick, I can rip it open and wipe it all over. So the mosquito wipe goes in there. Okay, so there's that. Another mod that I recently have gone to that comes in really handy for a lot of stuff. This is a titanium shovel. I don't know if you need a titanium shovel, but if you're covering lots of country on foot, something this light and this handy comes in handy for a lot of stuff. I used it when it started thunderstorming in the Bitterroot Wilderness as just an ad hoc thing for shelter. I needed one side to stay out. I just shoved it in the ground, tied my string to it, just a quick handy knot, and it was a tent stake. A pretty beefy one, out, you know, to keep the wind and the rain out. Also, it's really good for the obvious covering your excrement, you know, so there's that. But also really good for digging and foraging. I used it to collect wild onions. It's really good. It's got a very simple, crude saw. Like I wouldn't saw down a tree with that, but if you're cutting, like for foraging, like peppermint or whatever wild thing you're doing, it's super easy. You don't have to worry about messing out or dulling your knife with, if it's got a bunch of soil and rocks in there and you're cutting off near the ground. Yeah, I mean, really, it's just such a handy little small lightweight piece of kit. That's another recent modification that I have done. And another one that I'm going to do right now, this is string. It's Kite String. It's a super easy, lightweight cordage. Not everything is solved with 550 cord. I think in a lot of ways this is much better. I forget what this cost, but it was very cheap. And it's Kite String. And it's one of my favorite strings for bird snares. It's my #1 thing for catching birds in snares. It works really well. It's really cheap. It comes on this handy little thing with the little grabber there. It's easy to use. It's lightweight. It's strong. It's strong enough to hold up like a poncho hooch to make your own shelter, make your own tent with a tarp. Definitely strong enough for that. If you wanted, you could take one of these and tape some fish hooks on there and make like a little fishing kit. You could also fish with it, use it as a reel. I'm not going to do that because I already have a bunch of other fish hooks in other places. If I needed to, I could make that, but I have other fishing kits, like on my EDC knife and my sheath in my pocket. There's a little fishing kit on there. But this is something definitely I want to have on my kit or in my kit. So that is going to go in here, but not there because I don't like the way that makes the shovel stick out. I could foresee that coming in to poke me. I'll probably put it behind my fire kit. There's that. And I might as well show you guys my fire kit while I am at it. Oh, that thing got wet. Good thing it's waterproofed. So wet. Okay, my fire kit. It's a Vaseline container filled with Vaseline and cotton balls. I have duct tape to the outside of it, a ferro rod, and a lighter. Super cheap, super, super effective. In fact, I cannot believe how effective these are and how long it took me to embrace these. These are awesome. Cotton balls and Vaseline, crazy effective. Super cheap, super effective. The duct tape is also flammable, and it's got that color on there for when I set it down so I can find it again. But super affordable, super effective. The other modifications that I've recently done, this buckle is buckle number 4. It's a beefy buckle. I believe it's buckle number 4 on here. I've went through a lot of iterations of buckles. The first one broke, and then a bunch of other ones just weren't good enough. This one is big and beefy, and it clamps on, and unlike a lot of stuff, it doesn't work loose. A lot of the buckles, they seem fine, but after you've hiked for miles, they get looser and looser and looser on your waist, and that makes a lot of the weight go on your shoulders, which you don't want. You want most of your weight on your hips, not on your shoulders. And when it loosens up over time, you just get tired of struggling with it, and the pack goes down farther and farther. But that buckle was like $3 at an outdoor store, but a much better design than most of your little snap together buckles. It's like a $3 modification. And then another thing, one of the things I use the most, whether it's for feet or for repairing gear or all kinds of stuff, duct tape. That's a duct tape dispenser made with one of the straps that's already on the kit. That's Gorilla Tape, but I really don't care. It's just a nice handy size. I don't really care what the brand is as long as it's very sticky. And this is athletic tape. I thought that was going to work well, but okay, so this is athletic tape. Athletic tape for tears on your feet, for an injury like a sports injury, which obviously would be common in this. I've actually got a tweaked wrist right now from wearing the pack and kind of pole vaulting over a log, but that athletic tape, super handy, super nice to have. And then if you guys don't know about the Everly stock packs, the Gun Runner and a bunch of the other ones like the Just One, I believe, this is the scabbard. This is what holds the gun. So you put your gun back here, your rifle, your shotgun, and it holds it in its own little separate compartment. That's pretty much it. I've shown you guys in video most of the stuff that's inside the inner part of the pack. I'm not going to go through all that, but since I was going to do a bunch of mods anyway, I thought it would be a good time to show some practical modifications. And one of the big takeaways is I don't just randomly modify stuff. I've been doing several excursions like weekly, and these are things that consistently I wanted to improve. Like the water bottle, I had my one previous to that for like 15 years. And it was big and heavy in stainless steel, and now they make them in titanium. So why not spend a little bit of money and get one in titanium? Also the knife, again, I tried the Mora. I've tried a couple of different knives. This one hopefully will work out. I think it's a good balance of not being too heavy, but being bigger and beefier than the Mora. What else? I guess that is it. I should close with the tactical verse of the day. Let's see here what God has in store for us. The Spirit of the Lord spoke to me, and his word was on my tongue. The God of Israel said, the Rock of Israel spoke to me. He who rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. He shall be like the light of the morning when the sun rises. If you are in a position of leadership, you should be just, fair, and consistent. That is one of the marks of a good leader, being fair and consistent. Hopefully we get that in our leaders. But even if we don't, if you are in charge of whatever project, whatever people, your family, being fair and consistent, that is important. He who rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. He shall be like the light of the morning when the sun rises. It's a good thing to have a fair and consistent leader. With that, men, thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.